Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Howard Stutz joins us. We're talking money laundering. He's the senior reporter for the Nevada Independent, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity in every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome back to the program Howard Stutz. He is the senior reporter for the Nevada Independent. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Wish I was up there to be just sitting across from you, but it's fine this way.
Well, I agree. Well, let's start out with money laundering. I have never seen a time since the mob was in town that there have been so many cases of money laundering that have come up and major fines. This all seemed to come to the surface, when Scott Sibilla was removed from Resorts World and lost his gaming license. And he said at the time that there were going to be other shoes to fall. I'm paraphrasing there. And that certainly has happened. But then on top of that, this 10-year investigation into Wynn and a $105 million fine. I mean, just that number is stunning.
Well, it was a $10.5 million fine, not 105.
No, but wasn't there the federal fine that they had to deal with?
Fine, yeah. No, the state, I forgot what the federal, Wynn will tell you it's not a fine. They just gave up the money. They just they just gave the money back or whatever. It was like they forfeited the money to the federal government. It was like $130 million is what it was. So it's not a fine from the feds.
Okay, but I mean, that's a stunning amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
And it was FinCEN, right, that levied that?
Yeah, well, they've had, a lot of this has been going on since, I was at the RJ, so we're over 10 years ago almost that this was been going on. There's been issues, the Sands, remember, they paid a $2 million fine to the state and $47 million to the feds for allowing some customers, I guess basically money laundering, and AML anti-money laundering, violating anti-money laundering regulations. This all, MGM, it was going on, these settlements stem back to the late 2010s, so it's like 2018, 2019, when the events took place. The Wynn actions took place back around that same time too. And it just took a long time to get weave through the federal penalties. and then moved on to the state for the state can assess their penalties on it. For the most part, the state always waited for the feds to get the case, to wrap up their case, and then the state would weigh in, Nevada would weigh in. It was different with Resorts World. There still may be something pending federally with Resorts World, but the state they cleaned house at Resorts World, brought in a whole new board of directors, brought in a new CEO, and then decided, let's get this done with Nevada. We'll worry about the feds down the road. So that's what we've seen these last 3 months. I felt for the gaming regulators, the gaming commission. You can see Brian Krolicki who's obviously has been a tremendous public servant to the state as lieutenant governor and state treasurer. He just said, he kept on calling it a clarion call to the Strip that, you got to clean up your acts. And they were frustrated by the third one. So by the settlement with Wynn last month. So, or earlier this month. So yeah, it's these have been pending for a while. Now we'll move forward and see if anything changes.
I had now President Sandoval, former Governor Sandoval, on the program a week or so ago. And when I brought this up to him, he said, well, it was basically the same people at each of the resorts. Do you concur with that?
In a sense, yes, because it was what it boiled down to is these illegal sports bookmakers were laundering money through the properties. Okay. So they were, and nobody was checking these type of transactions when there were red flags all over the place. Some were let go. And obviously Scott Sabella was at MGM and he was at Resorts World. So he's involved in two of these incidents. So yeah, this in the way it was the same bookmakers in different places. And John L. Smith, who has covered this much more in depth than I have. I mean, he's covered it, very deeply in following this, and has reported a lot about this. But in a sense, it's the same illegal bookmakers that were doing this. Some have pled guilty. Some are going to prison. So, a lot of it came from foreign. The win especially came from foreign money. So yeah, but in a sense, it was some of the same people. Governor Sandoval was right in that sense.
Well, the thing to me that's bizarre is that, there are supposed to be in-house, strategies to cover this. And, you're supposed to know if it's over $10,000 where that money comes from, not just from who the person walking in the door, but actually the actual knowing of where that money came from. And it's stunning that this got by all these casinos.
About a quarter, more than a half of MGM's presentation was talking about how they've upped their AML practices. Wynn did the same thing. Resorts World, they basically have had to rewrite the book on their AML practices. So yeah, it was bad people within the property messed up. That's really what it boiled down to. It was there were just too many holes, so many errors went through. I thought George Marcantonis, he was a longtime hotelier and worked for Las Vegas Sands for a long time. Left when after Apollo took over. He's now on the commission, and he had a very interesting comment because he came out of the Westin proper chain. Worked worldwide. Went to work at Caesar's Palace. And the first time he was there, he told his story at the commission where he was checking a guest in, who had booked a room at Caesar's Palace, but they needed that room for a casino marketing, needed that room for another customer. And George said, what is casino marketing? And he said, you don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about casino marketing, what that was. This is back, we're going back now 30 years because that's when he started. So yeah, it's been kind of the underbelly, I guess, in a sense. But look, this has got to clean up now. I mean, then if there is another one that happens, I'll predict this, Sam. If there's another one of these that happens with a big property on the Strip or anywhere, there could be a license revocation or something like that, or forced sale, or something could change. They're not going to I think the Gaming Control Board, Gaming Commission, not going to put up with this anymore. They wanted to clear these ones up. They're done for now, it seems, unless there's anything else that has to come up with follow-ups. But in the most part, I think they don't want to see this anymore, and that's the call out to the industry.
One of the things I brought up to former Governor Sandoval was that Nevada always claims to be the gold standard, but in a lot of ways, I feel that New Jersey has been the gold standard. And my example would be, the ability of Pansy Ho to have a license in Nevada, but not in New Jersey, where MGM actually had to put the Borgata up for sale, even though it never actually did sell. But are we the gold standard?
God, I'd hate hearing that question. I don't know. That was a big argument. I covered that hearing back in,
I
whenever
remember.
that was with Pansy Ho, and because New Jersey wouldn't license them, and it's part of the reason MGM got out of New Jersey finally at the end. They sold their interest in the Borgata back to Boyd Gaming. This, that was the big issue back then, where with Pansy Ho and Macau. Now Macau just is. It's just another gaming market. Stanley Ho has passed away. The Ho's have, still operate SJM, their company in Macau. That was pretty controversial back then. I think we've gone past that now. This was a black eye these last few months, these hearings. And I think that's where now they want to see if we move forward and see what happens.
Well, with Resorts World, with former Governor Sandoval and A.G. Burnett on the board, I think that they have a solid way forward. What's kind of shocking about the whole Wynn deal was with Phil Satry there. He must have just about had a heart attack when he found out about all this.
Yeah, you got listen. I covered Phil Satry is the legend. He's the gold standard. You're going to talk about gold standard. Phil Satry is the gold standard with what he did with Harrah's and moving, and now he went onto the board of Wynn, helped clean up that the mess that was brought in there. So yeah, I can understand that type of attitude. I hope that's where we're at right now, that we're not going to be talking about this anymore at some point.
All right, well, we won't talk about it anymore today. Let's take a break, and we'll come back more with Howard Stutz after this time out.
It's a good time to eat. It's a good time to play.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good time's a tamarack.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He is the senior reporter for the Nevada Independent and one of the top gaming analysts in the world as far as the reporting world is. And that's true, Howard. You are blushing.
This means I'm old, Sam.
Well, that could be true, too. Let's talk about Kalshi. And first of all, for our audience, you need to explain exactly what this company is and what they're doing and what the potential problem is.
Kalshi, well, it's not a cereal, because that's what it sounds like when I first heard about it. I never knew much about it. It's taken me, and I'll be honest, this has been out there since the Gaming Control Board has put a cease and desist order on Kalshi, and back in March, and we finally posted a story this past weekend in the Nevada Independent, took a deep dive into it. The argument has been Kalshi, they're a prediction market. It's like you go in and how much is soybeans going to be today, and are the costs going to go up or going to go down, or commodities is really what it is. They've been able to get approval as sports being a commodity, which I find kind of fascinating for that. And the argument this has been sports betting without state regulation, without state, having to pay state taxes. How we've talked about sports betting ad nauseum, last decade, you and I, because it legalized. It's gone now to, 39 states. All these states have different regulations, requirements, but the operators have to come in, get licensed, and they pay taxes on their revenue. Kalshi doesn't do that. It's in 50. It can be really in 50 states. You sign up online. I went and did it over the last week when I was working on the story. I signed up for it just to see what it was. I didn't place what would be called a wager because they want a debit card, and I didn't want to do that. I would have put a $10 bet on the Stanley Cup Finals just to see how this all works. But when you look at it, it looks like sports betting, but more like, I guess what you would say is there's no line. It's straight up bets or money line wagers. So you bet one side. Either let's take the Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton and Florida. You can place on a game, I guess buy a contract, they call it, where Edmonton's going to win, and somebody on the other side is buying that Florida would win. And that game, and they take all these different action on all these games, different contracts. What you win goes up and down based on how many people are buying contracts on Florida or buying contracts on Edmonton. It's win or lose is basically how they look at it. Kalshi takes a 2% fee off all those contracts, they call it, but there's no line, and you just win or lose. Well, it is sports betting in that sense, but they argue against it being sports betting. So right now, 7 states, including Nevada, have filed legal action saying you're sports betting, you got to come in and get licensed, or else leave the state. Remember, this happened back in 2015 with FanDuel and DraftKings over daily fantasy sports. You mentioned him earlier in the show. A.G. Burnett was chairman of the Gaming Control Board. The board put out a letter saying daily fantasy sports is sports betting. You have to come in and get a license or leave the state. They shut it off within 24 hours. They got out. DraftKings, FanDuel. Kalshi's not that way. They're fighting it. And this is a multi-billion-dollar company, the Kalshi, because they do this not just on sports, it's on all other things. Who's going to win the Academy Award? What actor is going to win the Academy Award? What about this? Will President Trump tweet something about Elon Musk? That's actually today. That's actually one of the things you can put money on. The NBA finals that are going on, Indiana and Oklahoma City, the game I watched and I was following it for my story, they took $21 million in contracts just on that game. So I think the comments from Derek Stevens of Circa, the CEO of Circa, made on VSiN last week were pretty evident. He said it's sports betting. Okay, that's what anybody says it's not sports betting is crazy, and they're pretty. It's a company that's only been around a couple of years. They have Donald Trump Jr. as on their board of advisors. Yesterday, and we're talking. You and I are talking Wednesday morning. Yesterday, there was a hearing in Congress for the new chairman of the CFT, which is the federal agency that regulates Kalshi. That's where Kalshi's big argument is. We're regulated federally. He was up for being approved by a Senate committee. Dina Titus just lambasted him. And the fact is, this guy also has stock in Kalshi. He's on their board of directors, and he wants to become the head of the CFT. He's been nominated by President Trump. So It's very nefarious. I don't know where this is going to go. We may be talking about this for the rest of the year, for all I know.
Well, it's interesting because the way you describe it, it sounds like the horse racing portion where it's the totalizer, where it's not betting on 1, 2, 3, but it's betting on the horse, and the wager goes up and down depending on how much money is put onto each horse. But at the same time, you look at it and you look at Uber, and is Uber a taxi company or a tech company?
Yeah.
We have these
It's
weird
a tech
dividing.
company. I mean, it's a tech company. It was founded by two former MIT students. They thought of this idea. They were prediction markets for sports. It took them a year to get licensed by the CFTC. They got licensed. They launched sports in February, and it was like, that's when the state gaming regulators got wind of it and was like, what is this? And immediately cease and desist letters went out from 7 different states. I mean, remember now, sports betting is in 39 states. They all had to go through different processes of legalization. There's some states, Kalshi, you can be sitting in California or Texas, 2 states without sports betting at all, and you can get onto the Kalshi site and go ahead and make not wagers, contracts is what they call it. So yeah, this is really, as like I said, Derek Stevens said, it looks like sports betting. I looked at it. It looks like sports betting. I hear their arguments that it's not, there's no lines or anything like that. But the fact that they're doing this in different states and the states aren't seeing any revenue from it, that's where the rub comes in. I think that's where I think this fight's going to head. It's going to head up to the Supreme Court is what it looks like.
Yeah, and if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. Let's take another break and we'll be right back.
All hail the $200,000 Cash is King giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Weekly prize drawings including thousands in cash and free play. And 2 big grand prize giveaway events, each with a $15,000 cash winner guaranteed. Only at the Carson Valley Inn.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He's the senior reporter for the Nevada Independent. Okay, so my wife and I come down to Vegas for the weekend to see a concert at Caesars. I think that we're being very smart to park the car at the Forum Shops and have dinner there for $8 and then walk across to the Coliseum. Oh no, the Forum Shops valet closes at 9, so if you need your car today, you got to come pick it up. Oh, okay, so we got to park at the Coliseum. $50 to park at the Coliseum. And now we're seeing the reverse of this with the Plaza, for example, with their $125 package that includes everything, following one of our sponsors, the Aaron Hotel, that doesn't charge for Wi-Fi, doesn't charge for parking, doesn't have resort fees. Are we heading in the other direction now that we're seeing the softening in the market?
I think so. I mean, where tourism is down, we're down, for the year already. Some of it's just the natural business cycle is what Steve Hill from the LVCVA told me, because, February last year we had the Super Bowl. This year we didn't have it. Tourism went down 12%. Yeah, I think we've overpriced ourselves. When it costs you $10 for a cup of coffee on the Strip and I can get the same coffee at Starbucks in Summerlin for $5, yeah, I think we gotta there's some issues going on. I think they're starting to understand that. We're going to see some changes. We also have to remember tourism is down, but the room prices are up from a year ago. You also have 4,000 fewer rooms on the Strip because the Mirage and Tropicana have closed. So I think we're going to start seeing a different direction. The LVCVA knows this. They're hearing it. Tourism, we're not getting the international business like we have been, obviously because of the administration. Canada wants nothing to do with us right now. So there's some challenges that the LVCVA is facing, and they got to address it.
Well, we didn't even get to Fontainebleau and barely to Resorts World, the property itself. So please come back soon and let's have more discussion.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see where it all goes. I just don't know what'll. At this point, everybody's got to reassess things and kind of figure out what it is going to take to get people here. And summer months traditionally slow anyway because of the heat. So they need to get all this fixed by fall.
Indeed. And that's when I'll be down in Vegas taping again. So I will see you then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will be here for you.
All right. Thank you, Howard. It's always great to see you.
Anytime, Sam. Thanks for having me on.
And we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can always watch our shows anytime on the website at nevadanewsmakers.com or the podcast. We have audio and video podcasts from all your favorite podcast locations and YouTube. Find us everywhere. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.